Welcome to this year program of the AMF Mentorship program. This is our second, event. We are happy and delighted. And here comes, the corruption champion, not only for our country but for the West Africa. Recently, the other adults who are older than him consider him as the only lion in West Africa, and that lion should be the leader of the jungle to clamp down corrupt people. Not only politicians but all angles. And here is us. We're having a greater opportunity, a very big opportunity for him, to share his priority. And I believe the young people are his key priority. And our topic was provoking one. It was not a statement, but a question to the commissioner. The very first young anti-corruption commissioner in this country. And the one who has really hit the nail on corruption in this country. And thank God, yesterday the juggler was out. The game changer instrument was out. So you will be the first people that he will also be hitting you on that. So I was happy. I was over happy when I got the news yesterday. So now I know that my country is ready and prepared. And because of who? This single man. It was a battle within him, our lawmakers in this country, and so many politicians in the ruling and in the opposition for that law not to pass through parliament. But he stood stand, and he was heated seriously that he wants all the powers in this country. And he said that no, I don't want the power, but I want to fight corruption. So here is our next speaker, Mr. Francis Ben Kaifala, the Commissioner for the Sierra Leone Anti-Corruption Commission. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Well, this is amazing to see amazing young leaders brought together to engage on issues that are important for this country. So I must thank Mr. Fatoma and his team and the U.S. Embassy for creating this opportunity for me to come and interface with you this morning on various issues. As you all know, I lead the fight against corruption. And of course, we all know as well that one of the problems that we have in this country and probably in Africa and probably the world is really what to do about corruption. So I want you all to understand this. You are young leaders in a country that is besieged by what we call chronic cynicism. It is a system whereby people don't believe that anything positive can happen. What that does to a country like this is that it creates a mentality that basically says, why bother? Let us all just plunder and move on. Nothing can happen about it. In fact, you can do all you can, it's going to come back to the same wrong. So why did you in fact have to put in that effort? And economists have dealt with these kinds of behaviors a long time ago. And I am working in an environment where we have to work with young people to first of all disabuse their minds of such thinking. And once that is done, for us to now work on making sure that the country itself is disabused of this. So the thinking that it is not mine, it is not yours, let's destroy it, has to go. The thinking that you have to ally with the wrongs of society to succeed has to go. Most importantly, we have to understand that good conscience should not be driven by bad conscience. So those people who, there are many, they just have this cynicism built in them. And what they do is, with all of you, when you occupy various positions or you are working with them, they try to drive away the good conscience in you so that you can basically join them. So if you are in an office and you are the good one, they call you, this man is you are the one who are trying to be a saint.
Yeah.
So
Jesus never failed.
yes, if you are punctual, they say Jesus never fail. You will always come. So they create a system whereby they basically drive the good conscience in you. Because to be punctual is a good thing. But you become ashamed to come early. Because you sit down there and there's nobody to see you. They create a system whereby if you are too conscious about national interest, they say you are overambitious. Okay? They create a system whereby if you want things done faster and properly, they tell you you are having youthful exuberance.
Yeah.
Okay? These are all things, these are all structures that are built around you to make you fail. But above all, it is not for you to fail, it's for you to join them in the cynicism. So as young leaders, you have to understand these things. The challenge is enormous. But once you disabuse yourself of that, you can see them clearly, you can see them coming. And that is what I have employed in my own meetings with grown-ups in Sierra Leone. You have to understand these, you have to know how to navigate your way around it. You have to be able to confront them with it. As Mr. Fatoma said, he was with me. We do everything. We put together a very good law. We looked at the loopholes in the country. What has happened with the fight against corruption? 18 years we have had an ACC that is basically not going anywhere. And we have now tried to do some changes. We look at the corruption culture and environment. We put together a law that we put there. What did they do? They were not looking at the law. They said, Mr. Kaifala wants all the powers. And that is what they took to parliament. And you have people who you would have thought are progressive people who will look beyond these things. They were the ones who were championing the opposition to it. And that is because the good conscience in them has been driven away. So they have allied, basically. I am telling you this, there are people who you think this cannot happen to them. It's a structure. If you don't disabuse yourselves of it, you will fall in that social cynicism. And when you fall in the social cynicism, you become like them and nothing changes. What we have to do for the country is to develop a critical mind of young people who are disabused of this, who have the belief that things can change, and that things have changed in other places of the world by people taking conscious decisions and actions to change them, not because they prayed every day in church and suddenly there was a change, not because miracles happened. It's because something was done about it. We have to understand that corruption has held us to ransom for years. And there are various forms of corruption. It does not have to be pecuniary, it doesn't have to be monetary corruption. Abuse of office, abuse of position. Social structures that are developed in such a way that they create a corrupt system for people not to succeed. We have to understand these things and to rise above them. In leadership, my advice to you is to understand that there are 3 dimensions to leadership. There is leadership of self, there is leadership of others, and in between, that is where the decisions lie. If you want to be good leaders, you want to be good mentors yourself to people, the first thing you have to do is to lead yourself. Your own control mechanisms of yourself. If you are in a position of trust and you are dealing with a lot of money, suddenly you realize that by just a single signature, a lot of things can happen. What do you do? The leadership of yourself will be what will make you decide that what does not belong to you does not belong to you. Even though you are in a position to take it. It belongs to others. It belongs to the collective good. It belongs to everybody. The leadership of self is what will show you that humility is more important than ego, than pride. That your success is only more meaningful to you if you can make other people succeed with you. The leadership of self is what really balances you as a human being in the face of leadership. And then most importantly, the leadership of others. How do you bring other people along to produce the good in them? Does it always have to be about you? What change have you brought to your own institutions and those around you? And don't forget, sometimes we think that leadership is about being at the top. So in Sierra Leone, for example, they think leadership is about becoming president. It's about being minister. It's about heading an institution like I am doing at the ACC. No. In various stratas of life, you can be leaders. You can be leaders of even just in your business, in how you do things, in the small units that you lead, in the small groups that you are. So how you lead yourself to bring the good out of others and to achieve the purpose of the collective is significant and very important to you. As for the fight against corruption, as you know, we are on it. We do not have all the answers. We cannot promise everything, but we are giving it a serious goal within the next 2 to 3 years to see what change and what results we can produce for the country. And we rely on you young people not to fall in the chronic social cynicism, not to join them when they go on social media to dwell on the negatives and forget the positives, not to basically believe that those things that have held us back, tribes, religion, social structures, regions, are more important than the cohesion that can bring the good for the country. If we all do that and work together and we develop a critical mind of people who think like that, Sierra Leone will be a different place. That is my message for you today.
Thank you so much.
I don't know what
Yep.
to ask.
Questions? Yeah, they may want to ask questions. So.
Thank you. Good morning to you all. Well, I think we are in a new world. When we were inside, this is now America. I can't say good afternoon. Good morning to everyone. I'm Solomon Smart Esbangura, a young activist and somebody who believes in young people as well. However, first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you. You guys have been working relentlessly in your different capacities. In terms of activism, those of you who are anti-corruption commissionists, West Africa and all the rest of your colleagues, we want to say thank you for pushing the movement forward on behalf of Africa. However, there is something which I would really want
How in the but generally, whistleblowing is a courageous act. Raising issues about corruption is a serious act. And if you don't rise above the fear, you cannot move. So whilst the laws and policies may be there, I agree sometimes we don't have the required resources to really follow them through in a way that should be, like you will see in other countries. But they are there, and we try as we are best to do it. The most important thing is for the courage to stand up for what you believe in, and sometimes irrespective of the consequences. And that is what I would encourage you to do. If you think that the lecturer, for example, I came and I said, I'm ready to extend the meaning of conferring an advantage to include sexual advantage. I invited students to come forward if anybody in the university sexually harasses them, or some lecturer sex for grades and all these things. Up to date. I have been in that office now for 1 year and 5 months. Not a single.
we promise. Yes, sir.
Part of it is what he's saying. The fear that when we do, they will not be sufficiently protected. Okay? But we need that one person who we can use as an example to disabuse people of that fear. And that is what we don't have. The women's group have come to me and said, I should amend the law. I said, no, you don't need an amendment. Advantage has been defined in the law. It's just for us to now interpret it to say it applies to this. So you want me to amend the law? No, I don't have to amend the law. Find somebody you can bring to me. I'm talking about women's group, lawyers, 50, all of them. Find just one person who has a clear case and I'll work with you.
Not that they are not getting like that, but they will not take it out of the university. They will find a way to find it.
No, you take it out of the university by coming to me.
Then all eyes are going to be on you.
No. All eyes will not be on you. All you will report and we will investigate professionally. Okay? And we have systems for witness protection. You can even testify in an anti-corruption case without anybody seeing you.
In that case, when you're saying the legs from the lecturers are not, they're not the one that's going to give the money.
It doesn't have to be for them. It is for their benefit. It's the same thing.
I think the syndicate. It's a syndicate.
So so help us grab the person who is the center of that syndicate. Let's arrest him. Let's arrest him at the time you are giving him the money. So you can come to ACC. The ACC will mark the money. That's what we did recently when we arrested these people for the BFP. We mark the money. We give it to you. You give it to them. We arrest them. They will now come and explain what they collected the money.
I think what you should do is that do like what Nigeria did. You have these CID guys or CID women that will be telling us if they are students, put them in the university. In that way, you have the conflict.
Yes.
We are actually working on that. But it will be more, you see, let me tell you, even those things like what happened in Nigeria, when it comes to evidential purposes, it becomes a problem.
Yeah, that's
So that is what, for example, Anas happened to Anas in Ghana. He did all the videos, made people, blah, blah, blah. They took administrative action against them. It was difficult to prosecute anybody successfully because there are rules against these things like agent provocateur, when you can go, basically, you set people up to do what they did. Sometimes the law is unwilling to accept the mental element of what they did because you went to procure it and you had them to do it. But when a lecturer sits down in his room at night and he's messaging you to tell you how he's not concentrating anymore in his lecture because he has things like that, and he calls you, somebody has to be courageous for one example to happen in this university.
Yes, sir. Sometimes people are also being afraid of this stigmatization because they will think that if I report my lecture or my teacher, people in the society will think that my teacher that has already taught me in school, that has grown me up, already exposed.
A teacher that has taught you in school is doing that kind of thing.
Yes, so people will just think about that. So
well, these are all social problems, really.
Yes. Because
courage has to attack them.
Even social media will be saying you are the one that exposed your teacher. Everyone will be there and there. So it's very difficult. Mr. Commissioner.
It's called courage.
It's very
You rise above it, you believe you did the right thing and you stand with it. We have one example, we have two examples, we have three examples. Those people will now start changing. When other people do this, they will not attack them that way. They will accept that it is wrong. And above all, you would have done it for the good of other students who are timid, who are
Yes.
Anywhere
you go, even when you are taking the
why don't we? Okay.
Have you ever seen a hero that was silent?
No.
Ever. Have you ever seen a hero that did not sacrifice? Ever. Ever. Every single person that militated and made a change in human rights and civil rights, in justice, sacrificed, sometimes with their own life. Not that I'm asking anyone, and we're not asking anyone to do this here, but at some point in your life, you have to decide, will you think you will be able to keep quiet and go on with your life while you know that other people are victimized as well?
The younger sister is coming to work.
Are you willing to step up?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Sometimes
Okay.
you want to step up, okay? But you are thinking that if I do this, what will happen next? But I'm saying here that they should try to put something in place.
That is very correct.
Yes,
With
something
each
in place
protection
that
has to
if I do something, I will be secure. My name will not go out.
But I have told
Yes,
you.
my degree will not be.
But I have told you we have the structure.
There is.
But if somebody has not taken advantage of the structure, you will not even know that there's a structure, even if we talk
Can you
about
please
it.
tell them about the structure? How is that
Yeah,
structure?
because we are not.
Look,
that
when you come to report to us in such sensitive cases, what I do is the investigators that are attached to the case are ring-fenced from the rest of the investigations. So, for example, where you meet with them will not be the normal ACC offices, where you speak with them and everything. And when you finish, we can then use that to plant our own intelligence around this person and gather evidence against him. So you merely become a witness and you are not really a complainant. You understand? So once you are a witness, the time when you testify,
Even that, there are systems for you not to testify in open court where everybody is sitting down. You can testify behind a completely darkened wall. What is there?
Yes, sir. There are voices. Just as before you came in, our first speaker said in Sierra Leone, everybody knows everybody. When Solomon speaks, even if Solomon's face is not being shown, people will recognize that it's Solomon.
Okay, but well, basically we are capitulating to all these things because look, no system is perfect. And of course, I am not assuring you that we don't have a single equipment at the ACC. We are completely, we don't have resources. We don't have machines. We don't have things that could distort your voice, for example, when you are testifying. But are we going to sit down and wait for these to come someday before we can take action? No.
Can you provide security for that individual?
I said that earlier. That we have a witness protection system. We can even move you from your home and keep you somewhere where we take care of you, we feed you. You have bodyguards moving with you.
That's in case of education also.
We don't have it.
Also, there will be guards around you.
But if you do that, you just draw attention to yourself. So it's a problem. But anyway, we don't have all the time. We can always engage on this later. I'm always open to conversations around it. But all I am doing here is to assure you, first of all, the first thing you have to do is to fight the cynicism. Report. Courage. Right. Yeah. When you see something, say something. Let's create heroes in our society. You think if it's not courageous, I will be fighting corruption the way I'm fighting right now? Do you know how many threats I get every day? Do you know the text messages I get? Do you know the calls that I get? It takes courage to do something about it. I wake up in the morning, I look at them. The pastors and the reverends and the prophets, they have dreamt me dead more than 300 times in 2 weeks. But I hear it and I say, okay, you continue praying what I do, what I have to do. It's courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's your ability to move on even if you are afraid. So we have to understand these things and deal with it. Okay?
And again,
how much time allocated?
Maybe 2 questions more. He's a busy man.
Yes. Earlier on, they say when you fight corruption fights back. And then your silence against corruption is what makes people to corrupt. Earlier on you said you are doing all what it takes to change the critical minds of people, of the young people. So I want to know, what are you doing? What are these things you are putting in place to change the critical minds of these young people? Because what I'm seeing, even here you are seeing it, everybody is so restrictive to say something. Everybody is bouncing, which means people don't have confidence on the commission. So they are that afraid. They are afraid to say what actually is bothering them or what they have seen. So I want to ask again, what are you doing as a commission to fight this petty corruption, as my sister earlier said, when he was in the taxi and all these things, because they are also disturbing the social fabric of our society. I was also doing a thesis on corruption on ICT as a tool to fight corruption in Sierra Leone, and going to different places in Sierra Leone, people are even scared to give you information. They have these fears if you are coming
from the government.
So yeah, somebody else is coming to attack you, somebody else, or they sent you to come and get this information. And up to now, I'm still doing it. Up to now, I'm still chasing people for me to have this information to put my working together. So what are you doing as a commission to fight this petty corruption going on?
Okay. Yeah. Firstly, I started from there. I am aware that there is a review at government. And I started by telling you exactly what it is. It's called social cynicism. It's when nobody believes anything. The economy is a lemon. So you buy an orange, you think it's an orange, it's a lemon.
everything. People are suspicious of government, people are suspicious of those who act in public offices, people are suspicious of their lecturers. The cynicism is enormous, it's unbelievable. It's an affliction. It's like a disease, let me put it that way. Okay? And I'm not surprised at what we are having here, because this is something which we have to disabuse ourselves of. And that's why I encourage you to just, it's like a bold decision. It's like you waking up by faith and saying, I am dropping this and believe that a new era is possible. And I am going to be a part of getting there. That is what will give you, beyond all assurances that anybody can give you, that is what will make you speak up to see corruption. That is what made her move to a police officer to report. However, that same cynicism, the police is already afflicted by it. He's sick, basically, that's what I'm telling you. On a mass scale. So you don't expect to go and meet him to say the driver is taking money beyond something and he acts on it. To him, it is normal. Why are you even bothering me? It's not corruption. I am doing my work. Just pay him and move on. Because he cannot disabuse himself of the fact that it is improper in the first place. And once it is improper, it is his job to make sure it does not happen. I hope we are understanding this. Yes. And that is where I started. So, for petty corruption, for example, our manpower is so limited at the ACC that we cannot run after every petty corruption in the country. So we do public education. Okay? It is public education that will make you know, for example, that what is happening is crime, and if it's a crime, this is who you report to. It is public education who will make the person who it is reported to take action against them. The police, for example, do you know how many times we've raided the police and arrested them? Still, we will go back to it. So we are doing what we can. Also, we have encouraged prevention measures. Because prevention is actually the bedrock of the fight against corruption, not this enforcement that we are doing. Enforcement clears the way. It raises a lot of awareness and attention. It sends a clear message that you are serious about what you are doing, captures the attention of the population. But what really stops people from being corrupt is the fact that they do not touch money, they have no opportunities and incentives to touch money, and therefore they have to do what they have to do to survive by doing the right things. If not, they will lose their job. The audit trails can point to them that they do not do the proper things, for example. And they now know that before I lose my job and I cannot steal, let me just do the right thing. Okay? These are things which the government has to develop and deploy. Receipting system, for example. These are all things you hear about Asikuda Wall in NRA. To make sure people don't touch money, you go and pay. Somebody sitting down there, he sees how much money has come in and everything. So you remove the opportunities, you remove the incentives for corruption, and you do that. And that is not necessarily an ACC work. It's a national task. But we do public education. We do prevention measures, and sometimes that is why, more than ever before, you hear the sting operations that we are carrying out. Just to make people in these petty corruption-driven areas to understand that we are not letting them to just be like that. So we carry out sting operations, we arrest people like we did at Longe recently. These ones who were taking money from people who are already sick and dying, they give them 1 million euros, they take 800,000, they give them 200,000 to go and die. We hit them, we arrest them, we bring them. That is where we arrested the teachers and took them to the cutting tree to introduce them to you people, and all of you got angry that we took teachers to the cutting tree. But it's because we knew that crime is more dangerous to this country than that man who is taking money there now. He's going to die anyway. He's going to eat a lot of money, he's going to grow fat, and he will not control his health, and he will die of heart attack. For the young generation who we are working on, like now I am doing with you people, who should now come and see that this is a wrong thing. You already have teachers damaging them even before we can access them. It's a more dangerous crime than any crime at the top. But the country is not ready for it. I will understand this. So all I am trying to say, we are doing our best. But social cynicism is an affliction, it's a disease. If I tell you that we have the answers to disabuse everybody of it, it's not true. You see, people will always, even there are people who in this country who are just wired to be cynical. They see a good thing, even if the weather is good, they will ask why is the weather is good. Yes. Why Why is the weather just good today? I don't like this fact that the weather is good. Why is it like this? It should not be. I liked it better when it was raining. The next time, no, the place is so muddy. I don't like this rainy season. That person, there is nothing wrong with the weather. It is him that something is wrong with. So, for example, they will say, I don't believe ACC. But they have no basis for it. They have never reported something to the ACC that the ACC has never done anything about. They don't have a particular thing they can point to say, this is what I think it has been done wrong by the ACC. But they just sit down and say, I don't think the ACC can do anything.
Corruption started at
You see, recently journalists went to the Parliament building. They simply asked how many accounts you have. We said we have 15 accounts. And they went all over social media saying ACC is corrupt. ACC has 15 accounts. But ACC carries out projects. If we are doing a project with the American Embassy and they are giving us even 1 loan, that 1 loan goes in a special account for accounting purposes. We don't put it in one account for everybody. So if we have 5 projects, until that project is closed, that account will be active. So if you hear people now say the ACC is so corrupt because the ACC has 15 accounts, it's because they don't even care to find out why. They are already cynical. It has to be a bad thing for ACC to have 15 accounts. Why I'm taking my time to understand this thing, to explain these things to you, is for you to understand what we are dealing with. And when you understand it, that is why I'm not bothered. I'm very relaxed and calm because I understand that I'm dealing with an affliction. It's going to take a while for us to solve it. Last question, the lady at the back.
Last one. We know you young people are interested in corruption issues. Yeah. So yes, you can.
My question is, have you guys put anything in place? Because where I live in Hastings, we are surrounded by mostly police and the soldiers. And my question is, most of the people in Hastings, for what I know, they don't have trust in the police at all. There was a day I was in a vehicle, and somebody stole a purse somehow, and they were shouting thief, 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 and they caught the thief, and it was like, take me to the police station. And the Abacha women, because it was around Eastern Police, the Abacha women were like, don't take him there, because if you do, they will just, after you've gone, they will release him and he'll go and do another havoc. So my question is, have you guys put anything in place that will actually do, like, because we have trust issue, no one trusts the security right now, and it's very sad. So have you guys put any things in place that we actually create some bond, actually, that people will trust the police? Because as you said, if someone goes in terms of the university issue and say, my lecturer took money from me, my lecturer asked me to sleep with him and all, and they are all evidences, and you give a police or bodyguard to me, maybe I wouldn't even trust them. So have you guys put anything in place like that to trust actually the police? Because that's the key issue.
One thing I know is the police itself is doing a lot about its own problem. So they have an ethics division in the police, a professional standards division in the police, who are there to make sure that their officers are ethical. Like every profession and every occupation, there are always people who can do bad things. But that does not mean everybody is that. Generally, we know the perception about the police. Every research that has been done from independence to date about corruption in the country, there is none that the police is not at the top. None. You go now, random sampling, just go out there and ask people who are passing, who are the most corrupt, police, judiciary, teachers, usually think the police will always come out. But the police know this, and they are doing a lot about it to see how they can internally help reduce some of these things that are happening and to change it. And we are also working with them to make sure that their officers are much more ethical in their conduct and behavior. The difficulty with the police is, of all institutions, they interface with the public more than any other institution. And therefore, people take advantage of that within the police to enrich themselves. And most times when you speak with them, you talk about their conditions of service, you talk about the fact that they don't have much, and this is bad. It's a situation which I cannot solve because I don't have the power to do that. But those are the concerns they raise, and they are basically saying because we are paid so poorly, the only way we can survive in doing our work is to be corrupt. I know that there should be nothing that justifies corruption, but we are working with them to make sure that systems change and things change. And that is why even they are not beyond our actions. We chase them in the streets and arrest them. And most times when we arrest them, we hand them over to the ethical department of the police for them to be tried, and some of them are tried and discharged from the police. Some of them are transferred to places where nobody will ever think about them. And they are no longer any harm to society, like they go to offices where they don't have to interface with the public in terms of exchange of money or deal with issues of bail or arrest. So that is what we are doing, but this is a job for all of us. Like I told you, the formula is there. When you see something, say something. Let us create heroes. Like she rightly said, no one has become a hero by not saying or doing something. So let us live up to the task courageously and believe that things can change. It is the only way that we can make this really that we all want. I think that is where I was talking.
Thank you so much, Mr. Commissioner.
I would like to present you on behalf of the AMF Youth Mentorship Program a certificate of appreciation for your presentation on the topic of can young people help in the fight against corruption. So please accept this certificate on their behalf. And thank you so much. Thank you. It's a very, very good person in this country. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. They want to have photos with you.
No problem.
So let's have you all quick here.